Welcome back, everyone, to the Duo Dialogues. Today, we're diving deep into a skill that's crucial, not just for acing the IELTS, but for truly understanding the world around us, and that is listening.
Absolutely.
We had some great materials sent in on how to boost that IELTS listening score, so let's break down what makes this test tick and how we can really master it. We did IELTS Speaking Part 1 last time around. Now, we're all ears, ready for listening.
I love it.
Yeah.
So, the IELTS listening test is designed to evaluate your ability to understand different types of spoken English, really trying to simulate those real-life scenarios you're going to find yourself in.
Right.
It's a 30-minute test with an extra 10 minutes at the end to transfer your answers, and it has 4 distinct sections. Each one is a little bit more challenging than the last.
I see.
So the first one, we usually start off with a pretty straightforward conversation, like a phone call making arrangements or something like that.
Okay. So that's kind of getting warmed up, I guess.
Yeah, exactly, easing you into it. Then in part 2, we shift to a monologue. This could be somebody giving a presentation or making an announcement, something like that.
Okay.
Part 3, it ramps up the challenge. We're listening to a discussion now, often with multiple speakers, maybe students working on a project together, that sort of thing. And then the grand finale, part 4, that's where we get hit with the academic lecture.
Okay.
The kind of thing you might hear in a university setting.
Right.
Now, across all 4 of these sections, there are 40 questions. These come in formats like multiple choice, fill in the blanks, and matching. It's pretty cool how this progression sort of simulates the increasing demands of listening in different contexts. You start simple and you build up.
Yeah, I like that. It's a good way to kind of reflect real life, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, what are some of the hurdles that trip people up when it comes to the IELTS listening test?
Oh, there are quite a few.
Yeah.
I think one of the biggest ones is the variety of English accents that you're
Yeah.
going to come across.
Yeah.
You might hear British English, American English, Australian English, who knows what else. So it's almost like your ears need to become multilingual within a single language.
It's true.
And then, of course, we have the speed at which native speakers typically talk.
Yeah.
It can be really fast and hard to keep up with.
Especially if you're not used to it, right?
If
If
you're
you're
like-
learning, it's like, whoa, slow down.
Right. And then they throw in these distractors where the speaker might correct themselves or change their mind mid-sentence. So you really have to be listening carefully to catch the final piece of information.
The final answer.
Yes,
Not get tricked by that first thing they said.
exactly. And something that people often overlook, but it's so critical, is spelling.
Uh-huh.
You can hear the answer perfectly, but if you misspell it, it's wrong.
It's so true.
You lose the point.
It's one of those things that we kind of forget about when we're focusing so much on what we're hearing.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then, of course, there are those words in English that sound so similar but have totally different meanings.
Oh, yes.
Like there and there,
Right. It's a minefield.
if you're not really paying attention to the context.
Precisely.
So given all of these challenges, what are some really effective ways that people can hone those listening skills, really sharpen them up, ready for the IELTS?
Well, first and foremost, you've got to expose yourself to English audio on a daily basis. It has to be consistent.
Okay.
Think podcasts, news broadcasts, TED Talks, movies, whatever you enjoy. Just immerse yourself in the language.
Okay.
But passive listening isn't enough. You've got to actively engage with what you're hearing.
So how do we do that?
One great technique is to focus on identifying keywords. These are the words that carry the core meaning of what's being said. So rather than trying to catch every single word, you're honing in on those crucial bits of information that will help you answer the questions.
Right. So it's almost like training your brain to sift through the noise and be like, that's the important stuff.
Exactly. And as we mentioned before, actively work on your spelling. It might seem basic, but it can make a huge difference in your score. Another really good tip is to make an effort to listen to different English accents. There are tons of resources online where you can specifically train your ear to get used to those variations in pronunciation.
I think that's a big one because we tend to just listen to what we like or what we're used to.
Yeah.
Right. So if we're used to American English, maybe we should try listening to more British English, Australian English,
Absolutely.
just to broaden our horizons.
Exactly.
So let's take a quick example to illustrate this keyword idea. Imagine you hear the following. The train was due to arrive at 10:15 a.m., but there's been a delay and it's now expected at 10:45 a.m. If the question asks for the arrival time, the key phrase here is now expected at, which tells you the answer is 10:45 a.m., not the initial 10:45 a.m.
Perfect example. It really highlights the importance of listening for those shifts and changes in what's being said.
Exactly. Pay attention.
Now, what about some common mistakes that people make on the test itself?
I think one of the biggest ones is not reading the questions before the audio starts.
Oh, yeah.
You're going in blind, not knowing what information to listen for. It's like trying to find a needle in a haystack, right? You're just listening to all this information, but you don't know what you're supposed to be picking out.
Right. Another common mistake is waiting until the very end to write down your answers.
Oh, yeah.
You're putting a lot of pressure on your memory, and you're likely to forget details.
Right. It's like trying to remember your grocery list after you've left the house.
Exactly.
You get home and you're like, oh, shoot, I forgot the milk.
And of course, as we mentioned earlier, spelling errors can really cost you points.
Mm.
Finally, if you get stuck on a question, don't dwell on it. The best strategy is to make an educated guess, move on, and come back to it if you have time at the end. Don't let one tricky question derail your entire performance.
It's so true. It's better to get all the easier ones first and then come back if you have time.
Absolutely.
So, to recap, mastering IELTS listening really comes down to understanding the format of the test, being aware of those common challenges like the different accents, the speed, the distractors, and then actively using those techniques like keyword recognition and exposing yourself to various English audio. I think those are really actionable takeaways that anyone can start using today.
I agree.
And what's really cool is that these active listening skills aren't just for exams. They really enhance communication and understanding in all areas of life.
Absolutely. It makes you a better communicator all around.
Definitely. So thanks, everyone, for joining us for this deep dive into IELTS listening on the Duo Dialogues.
It's been a pleasure.
Hope you got a lot out of it.
We'll see you next time.
Stay tuned for our next exploration.
Bye.
Everyone.